let's go to Washington and Michigan. I got the numbers right here on this one. So
So
on
no,
FanDuel,
no Connor Stallions jokes now. Okay.
yeah, no Connor, no,
Good. Okay.
leave the Connor out of it, okay? Um, we have Michigan and Washington. Michigan is favored in this one by 5.5. The over/under is 50.5 in this one, and it's going to be a really interesting game. These are two teams that are fighting for playoff contention, although neither of them is ranked. That's really, really stupid that Washington isn't ranked. They are the only team that in the Big Ten that is 5-1 and isn't ranked. Did you know that, Zach? Did
Oh,
I
I
make that
knew.
clear?
I knew.
Did I make that clear enough on Twitter
Yeah.
the past couple days?
This is not a joke, and it's intentional. The AP poll stinks.
Yeah,
Okay, keep going.
we are not tongue in cheek with the AP poll.
No.
They stink and they know it. So but Michigan is favored in this one by 5.5. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised with how much the line is in this one, but it is at home
Yeah.
for Michigan, and there's a perception that Washington struggles on the road. They did take care of business against Maryland, albeit a lot of that business was done in the fourth quarter. But to me, this is a very interesting game to see how these two teams play out. How does Michigan recover? You got Sharon Moore talking about blue collar, wearing his blue collar jacket to the press conference. I enjoyed all the many memes with him in the cooking outfit and the everything else and the firefighter suit. That was really, really funny
There's
to see all
there,
those memes.
there was an army. There's one
Oh,
with him in military garb.
I forget what the line for that one was, but I saw that one. That one made me laugh too.
Oh,
But overall, I mean, Sharon Moore, he's just trying to get his guys going. He's trying to remind them how much of a tough football team they are because really, they did get pushed around by that USC squad. And that's something that Michigan fans are not used to seeing and Michigan players aren't used to have happening. Justice Haynes is questionable for this game. Sharon Moore said that in his press conference. And I feel like that's a really, really big thing in this one, Zach, if Justice Haynes plays or not. And that does impact my position battle, but I'll ask you what your position battle is.
so I saw USC throw all over the yard against Michigan. I like these receivers, man, and I like uh Damon Williams.
Freshman Roebuck and
Yeah,
everybody else, yeah.
Roebuck and obviously Denzel Boston. So I've got Washington receivers versus Michigan DBs, and like I Washington has started slow the past couple weeks, actually the
Hmm.
past several weeks, but part of that I think is youth, and I think they're starting to figure it out. You know, they were able to figure it out against Maryland, who has a good defense. They're able to figure out against Rutgers, who admittedly does not have a great defense, but like each time they figured it out. And Michigan, they have some very talented players, but I don't think we realized just how much of a drop off it would be from guys like Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, which makes sense, right? Two first rounders in the middle clogging up that defense. It masked a lot, I think, of maybe some of the, I don't want to say deficiency because I don't think they're terrible, but like these defensive backs have issues with good passing attacks. And I think that receiver room for Washington might be able to exploit some things against Michigan.
Well, I think it's interesting because what did USC do that gave Michigan so many fits? It was that they had the screen game, right? And USC has done a good job with the screen game, but they went to it far more in this game. But you also had Nebraska, who also, like I said, Dylan Raiola, he kind of throws underneath a lot, which again is not a bad thing, but that's what he does. And Nebraska wasn't able to exploit Michigan with that kind of stuff. But I think Nebraska has good receivers too, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, did Michigan just not have a good day because they traveled out all the way out to California? Can Washington replicate this kind of stuff now that Michigan knows that this is something that teams are going to use against them? What are they going to do? Right? Like there's a lot of questions and all that for me. So that's why I didn't do that one, but I didn't give a lot of thought into that one. So I'm glad you brought it up as I do think it's something that needs to be talked about. Mine that I brought up was this Michigan offensive line versus the Washington defensive line.
That's a good
This
one.
Michigan offensive line needs to be really, really good in this game. If Justice Haynes doesn't play, he's questionable right now, or even if he does play and he's, a little ouchy, they need to, give him good holes to be able to run through and do a good job. In Washington, they need to make sure they don't put their linebackers in bad positions because they've struggled with injuries with their linebackers all year long. Jacob Manu sounds like he isn't even playing the rest of the year now. to try to savor some eligibility stuff because of his injury. Which, by the way, we talk about the eligibility rule that the NCAA is, trying to do right now, which why are you trying to make these decisions in the middle of the season? I do not understand it. It is so stupid to me. But anyway, but Washington does have a good run defense. They are third in the Big Ten in yards per game allowed, but they do have some injuries. Michigan obviously has a really good rush defense or run defense, as they're second in the Big Ten in yards per game, but they just had their worst performance of the season after having Justice Haynes injured. So there's a lot going on in this one. I feel like with Damon Williams and everything else, this one's going to be decided on the ground a lot,
Mhm.
because I do think that Michigan's going to be prepared for some of that screenplay stuff. And when I say on the ground, I'm going to mean with Jonah Coleman and also with Damon Williams' legs, because if Michigan's defensive line is not able to contain him like Maryland did, this could be a long night, as Damon Williams could go 400 and 100, just like he did last game against Rutgers.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing that concerns me for Michigan is that there's only one defense that's really been able to slow Damon Williams down in the rush game, and that's Ohio State. Ohio State, I mean, they held him to negative 28 yards rushing. Everybody else, he's ran for at least six, I believe it's 67 yards. And so you've got to deal with that element. And maybe you put Barham on like as a spy, or maybe you put someone who's fat, but that's like nobody has an Arvell Reese on their roster in the Big Ten other than Ohio State. And like,
Well, and Ohio State had like interior defensive linemen like getting tracking him down. It was kind of crazy.
yeah, but like, I mean, so you've got to be incredibly disciplined in your rush, and you need to have a dedicated spy at all times. And like, I fear that Wink, like he might get blitz happy, and like this is not the quarterback to get blitz happy with. So I'll go ahead and give my score prediction here.
Well, hold on. I want to
Oh,
bring up one more
okay.
thing before you do.
Bring up one more thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
We were talking about a pre-show. The two best games that Michigan have played this year. What were those two best games to you?
Nebraska and Western Michigan,
Central Michigan.
Central Michigan, one of the directional Michigan schools.
Who was the coach for those two games?
I'm gonna let you say it because I know where you're going with this.
Biff Poggi.
Yes.
Listen, I picked Michigan to beat USC because I thought that Sharon Moore would have the physical brand of football that he has had, and I honestly kind of want to pick Michigan in this one because I still believe that is a part of this Michigan identity. But what did I say when we picked Oregon and Penn State, Zach? I said I picked Clemson before. I'm not letting it happen again, right? I picked Texas, or I didn't pick Texas, but I believed in Texas before with their returning talent. I can believe in them again, right? I believed in these teams who have returning talent. I'm not going to believe in a team that has not shown me consistently that their identity is still there. They have shown me consistently with Biff Poggi there, but they have not shown it consistently in other games. I'll be, a big one is in that USC game. If they prove me wrong, I will believe that they are a very tough team and they can do this kind of stuff again. I'm not going to believe it until I see it again. So I'm going to go with Washington in this one. I'm going to pick them to win 27-24. I think Damon Williams has a day. I think Jonah Coleman does just enough to be able to make it happen. And I think that Denzel Boston and Desmond Roebuck together go for over 150 yards receiving and at least a touchdown or two between the two of them.
This is a heck of a thought here. Biff Poggi to Penn State.
Hey, that's the one they need. They just don't know it.
I have it a little higher scoring for Washington. I have Washington 34, Michigan 20.
Wow.
And the reason is twofold. I think Washington is so much better than the AP poll is giving them credit for. Again, I think I think legitimately it's the best trio of quarterback, running back, and wide receiver in the Big Ten. Like not even Ohio State. Like you could make a case for Indiana with Mendoza and the stable of backs there and Elijah Surratt. Like you could make that argument. But like, man, Jonah Coleman, Damon Williams, Denzel Boston, I think the offensive line's playing well. The other receivers are stepping up. And Michigan with like if Haynes plays, they're so one-dimensional. Like I know Marsh has been stepping up a little bit, but I still don't buy the passing game yet. Underwood is a little gimpy. Like I don't know how much Michigan will be actually be able to score in this game. And I get that Washington's on the road, but I just think Washington is too explosive. And I think they're gonna be able to exploit some of the deficiency in Michigan's defense.
I think that it's a good take. I just don't know if it's going to happen, right? We've
Yeah.
seen it a little bit, but it's at home and it's Washington and Washington on the road. Washington looked better in that fourth quarter against Maryland, but you're not going to be able to win just in the fourth quarter against
Yep.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Works for you against Maryland, but
they got to put it all together. But
mhm.
yeah,
So
if
we'll
they
see.
start in the second quarter, they could probably still.
Right. Don't have a slow start. I mean, start if this Washington team puts it all together for the entire time, I think it works. But
Yep.